Welcome everyone to the Oculus introduction webinar. I'm Ziya Muhamedcani, president of the Madison Company. I'm very pleased to conduct this webinar to introduce an excellent sales forecasting tool named Occulus. Regarding today's format, I would like to tell you that it's going to be about an hour, and what I'd first like to do is to share some slides with you regarding sales forecasting and just a general background to Oculus. And then I'd like to take you into the specifics of the Oculus software, what it looks like, how to use it, just an overview, a thumbnail. Can't go into too much detail within this period. This will probably take about 30 to 40 minutes. And then after that, we'll do a question and answer following the presentation. For those watching us live, I'll take the questions after the presentation. For those watching this presentation at a later date, please contact us if you would like some questions answered. Anyway, first of all, let me give you a background to the Madison Company. The Madison Company has been around for about 25 years, over 25 years, and we're a global sales performance optimization company. What that means is we do sales consulting, we do sales training, coaching, and our methodologies or our approach is really talking about practical and not theoretical. We want to make sure that there's value to everybody that's in the field, and that's where our focus is going to be, and make sure that it's applied ASAP. Our processes, methodologies, tools, they're all they're not ad hoc approach. They're all combined, and this is where Oculus really fits in very, very well, because it's a tool that really fits in specifically with the Madison method and also the practical and not theoretical. Again, at the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to improve and advance sales managers' skills and let's see here. Okay, and improve the selling skills of the sales reps. Okay, we get to the next chart here. Okay, whoops. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. First of all, what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about was the specifics of how Madison and Oculus got together. Well, we've been working with sales reps for about 25 years, as I said, and over 10,000 sales reps over the years. And our sales forecasting is one of the key problems that keep on coming up over and over again. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we want to find out, how do you differentiate between the good, the bad deals, what to chase, what not to chase, and then looking at what commercially important questions need to be asked, what accurate, qualifying the deals. So we're looking at a lot of these things, and one of the things that we looked at was looking at the sales forecasting and how salespeople spend a lot of time following a sales forecast, and importantly, sales managers, what they do. So we were lucky enough to run across or come across Oculus. And before signing on with Oculus or working with Oculus, what we tried to do is we tried to use it ourselves. And what we found out was that by using Oculus, even though, like for myself, I've been selling for 40 years, and even after 40 years, there are certain elements of a deal that sometimes you just maybe forget about. But with Oculus, it makes sure that the elements of the deal or the categories or the questions that you need to ask are very, very focused. So we use that. It's a repeatable process. It works on every deal. And actually, we were sold on it. And it worked very, very well. So talking about Oculus, it's been developed by a very, very interesting person who's got a background in math as well as computer science, and also salesman doing actual selling and also doing sales training. So it's a good combination. And what Oculus does, it really gives you the details of what needs to be done. So it's a good sales forecasting tool that works with a CRM or independently. Accurately qualifies the deals, and also making sure that the fact-based questions are always asked in each deal. Measures the deal integrity, rates the priority, and prioritizes good and bad deals. You hate to chase bad deals, but a lot of salespeople, unfortunately, spend a lot of time, maybe emotionally, because they're attached to a certain customer, chasing a deal that's not good. You end up missing the forecast. And last but not least, one of the things we found with Oculus when we use it ourselves was it really enhanced the dialogue between the sales manager and the sales rep. So we were able to, contact and talk very, very succinctly on, what we wanted to, go through as far as the details of the deal itself. So what Oculus is, it's an easy to use, cloud-based deal qualification, pipeline analysis, and sales forecasting tool. Yeah, I know it's a mouthful, but that's exactly what it is. And it's used by sales professionals, and that combines the discipline of the consumer-centric selling with the insights of the predictive analysis, which is really the probability analysis, and advanced analytics using the algorithms to assist in moving the deal to a successful close. It really is an easy-to-use software. I'm not one for using softwares a lot of time, but even I found that it's very, very easy. There's a lot of questions that we answer. It guides you, and it's very, very easy to use, and it's very, very specific, and the output is excellent. Okay. Now the question is, how accurate is your sales forecasting? I'm sure you ask that, especially when you're in a sales management role. And Oculus really is a very, very good tool, not only for the sales rep, but especially for the sales managers. Because as a sales manager, you really don't have the time to go through every single deal. But, if you do, of course, you're going to get, good, accurate forecasting because of your experience. But the problem is, if you just leave it to the sales reps, usually there's, a problem. A couple of years back, a CSO did a sales study, and it found that 54% of the deals forecasted by sales reps don't close. In other words, only less than 50% are won. The rest are lost, 30% are lost, and 24% are no decision. So what we really see here is that deals that are forecasted don't always come true, and we've seen that often in our careers, I'm sure. All right, let's take a look at the reasons for the sales forecast failures. There's two elements, two real large segments of reasons for this, I think. And one of them is the human element. And the second one being more of a structure or a method, maybe the structure of the, how to go about doing the sales forecasting and trying to get an accurate forecast going. But if we look at the human element of it, what we're really looking at is sales reps. Sales reps by nature are optimistic. We work off of gut feel inputs. We do a lot of guesses. We've had a good relationship with this customer, so they're going to buy it by the end of this quarter. So, sales reps overestimate sometimes, whether it's time frame or whether it's the amount that we're going to do. So a lot of times it's on the human side of it from the sales rep. And at the same time, sales managers, as I said earlier, they really don't have the time. If you've got 10 sales reps, or if you've got 6 sales reps reporting to you, and they're each working on 4 or 5 or 6 deals at a time, you really don't have the time to go through each and every one of these deals. And going through it, if there's no structure behind it, or if there's no discussion points that are consistent, then you're going to have to go through every single one. If there's no same platform, so you're going to have to go through deal by deal by deal and go through all the the mundane details when as a sales manager talking with the sales rep. So this is what I call the human element from the sales reps and from the sales managers, and this impacts the accuracy of the sales forecast. But the other element is really, if you want to look at the structure part of it, and unable to gain critical insight into individual deals. If you've got about 30 or 40 deals going on at once, especially as a sales manager, it's very, very difficult to see the insights. If you've got 10 deals going on as a sales rep, that's very, very difficult to see the individual, all the finite, the details of what needs to be looked at. So, we need to handle it very, very efficiently and look into it. But if you're unable to gain the insights into each and every deal, you're probably not going to have, there's going to be some oversights, and there's going to be a problem with that. The other is, if you want to look at it from a non-standardized forecasting methodology, do all the salespeople follow the same methodology? And usually the answer is no. Everybody has their own, ideas of how to develop a sales forecast. Whether it's been, I've done this for 10 years, so this is the way I've always done it. Or there's a CRM system, that you've got, and you've got the 7 stages. And now, how do you go from stage 1 to stage 2 to 3 to 4? So everybody is doing their own thing, and that impacts, there's not a standardized methodology. And last but not least, it's hard to track the individual if you have 30 deals, 40 deals, or 10 deals, and track the details of each deal. What Occulus can do is it can give you structure, it can give you details, it can automate a lot of the forecast, and it can tell you what the good deals and the bad deals are. So in a way, it covers all of these areas of the problems of not getting the forecast accurate. So let's take a look at this one picture here. It's the Pantheon in Rome. And at the top you can see there's a little hole there. And that's a window. Actually, what you see is a window where the light will shine through. And when the light is shining through this window, it kind of illuminates everything underneath. And this is how Occulus was named, because Occulus shines the light. And it's shining the light onto the details of the pipeline and the forecast itself. This is where you're really seeing everything in detail. And also it shines the light into the internal details, so there's transparency in every deal. So every deal is transparent. You can look into the details, and that's where the strength of Occulus really comes through. Now, on every deal to win, especially in the complex sales, there's really 6 areas that directly impact the probability of winning the deal. And what we're really looking for is these different, the 6 different areas. And if you've got different categories, 6 different categories, and you got questions, standardized questions that will tell you how you're doing, whether you have the answer to this question, yes, no, uncertain, that directly impacts the probability of winning the deal. That's what the Occulus will provide. And let me take you through the 6 different, the areas or the categories. The first one is really the opportunity description. And this, above all, more than anything else, you need to have. Without this, nothing goes forward. How well the deal is defined, and if the sales rep knows and understands what the prospect is trying to do and why. Without this, should not even go to the next step or even try to find out. Find out if there really is an opportunity. And there's going to be questions that you have to ask. What type of a deal? What are they looking for? Do they know this answer? Is it a yes or no, or are they uncertain about it? Once you've got that, then the next thing you really need to look at is the proposed solution. Once you've got a proposed solution going, then you're looking at how closely the proposed solution matches the prospect's requirement. If you find that you don't have a proposed solution that meets the opportunity that's described and that what the customer is looking for, why even go to the next step? I think that's one of the things that we kind of try to force the salespeople. We may not have the proposed solution, but we say, oh, I think we can probably make it work. But by having specific questions and being realistic about yes, no, these are the questions that we need to ask, and are we really aware of these things or not, I think we can probably become a little bit more focused on whether this is a good deal going forward or whether it's a bad deal going forward or whether the time frame is correct or not. The third area we really need to look at if you're going to win a deal is the decision process. And the sales rep really needs to understand the customer's buying process and who's involved, who is the user, who is the gatekeeper, who are the people that are involved in that one. And that's very important. And related to that, you're going to find out what the relationship are to the key individuals. As I said, who are the gatekeepers, who are the coaches internally, who are the users, who are the decision makers. Do you have a relationship with them? Do you even know who the decision makers are? And do you even have a relationship with these people? So you really can't go ahead and decide on what the probability of winning the deal is without having this type of a personal understanding of who you're dealing with and what their roles are, what the customer's roles are, the stakeholders. Next, in understanding and winning a deal, you have to find out if the competition has a value proposition and what type of competition that you're up against. Was the competition able to beat you or not? And being realistic and going through a series of questions that will identify yes, no, I can beat the deal, I cannot beat the deal, I do not know, I know. These are all the things that when a salesperson asks and puts down, it works. We do this innately. I've been doing it innately, but having gone through a lot of the details of who the competition is, do I have the relationships? I find that there are certain gaps that I have and that I need to fill those gaps in if I'm going to secure the deal. And last but not least is the timing. And, does the sales rep really understand the timing of the deal? And has that been confirmed with the key individuals? So what Oculus does is identifies the 6 critical areas, and this is for every deal. It's not just for, whether it's a medical industry or whether it's a service industry or heavy equipment or anything like that. Any opportunity that you have these things that you have to go through and you have to understand it. And what Oculus does is, with that and with the predictive analysis, which is, the probability factors, you go in there and you decide. And then once you've got the advanced analytics with the algorithms, this is where the output comes in for the Oculus software itself. Okay, let me take you through now the Oculus process and how it works. And this is just an overall process. And I'll go into the details of what the software looks like in a little while. But let me just take you through how the inputs and what type of outputs you can expect. First of all, you get the information from a CRM, and or if it's a standalone, you put in the information of the name, the contacts, what type of an opportunity you want to give the name to, whether it's a type of a sale, is it a consulting, is it a product, what the close date and the amount that you're looking at. So this is kind of like the initial start point. Then next, what you're really looking for is, as I said, the 6 categories, and you want to find out the opportunity description. And there's questions to these. There's a set of questions for all of these 6 categories. Is it real? The opportunity description. You really want to find out if this is an opportunity. And if you don't go through this, you can go down all the way to trying to find out about the budget and who the stakeholders are. And maybe it wasn't even a real opportunity to start with. So it's a waste of time, waste of energy, and a waste of sales forecasting accuracy. The second one that you really want to look at is the proposed solution. Can we compete? Is it something that we do have the product or the services for? The decision process. How do they buy? What's the customer's methodology, or what's the process that they buy? The relationships. Who do we know within the customer? Who are the stakeholders, and what is the relationship? Do we need to develop these relationships over time? How does that work? And do we win? How do we win? The competition. Do they have a better product, service? Are they in a better position than we are? Because if they are in a better position, no matter what we do, we're not going to be able to supplant them. Unless we have something that's a value proposition to the customer that that's going to fit the opportunity description, and the proposed solution has to be better. So what's the competition? And last but not least, we have to make sure that we find out if the timing is this realistic. Salespeople, including myself, we have a tendency of becoming unrealistic when it comes to timing, especially at the end of each quarter. We want to make sure that, we're going to make that number, we're going to make that number. The feeling is there, yeah, we want to make that number, but the reality is it becomes sometimes unrealistic. So we have to kind of step back and say, hey, is this really realistic timings? And if you've got a set of questions that are asked and you have to answer them and you go through it, it really becomes a way that you can gauge yourself, and it gives you the discipline of really looking at it from a realistic standpoint. So here you have the opportunity information. You've written in, this is the close date. These are the amounts that I'm looking at. You've got all the 6 areas that's going to impact, the deal itself, and whether it's going to, what type of an impact it's going to have. And after that, what happens is, Oculus takes over. You fill in these questions, you answer these questions, And every time you go into the account, you update these questions, and Oculus analyzes it for you. And the output on this, it becomes, different levels of different outputs that we're going to be having here. And the first level of the output is really a degree of qualification. So when you look at a degree of qualification, it really is saying, do I have the information that I need to win this deal? So in other words, am I qualifying this deal properly? Do I have enough yeses and not that many uncertains? Of course, the higher the degree of qualification, the better it is. The second part is the confidence factor. And the confidence factor is, do you win or not win the deal? And how confident are you into winning the deal if the decision maker made the decision today? So that's what you're really looking at a top line view, is saying, okay, what's the degree of qualification? And next, looking at what the confidence factor is. At the next stage, what we're really looking at is probabilities, and the probabilities of winning, and the probabilities of the timing that you're saying you're going to close at a certain date. And the one underneath the chart is just the above the probabilities in a certain, that Excel form, I guess that's in a chart form, the winning and timing chart, so you can visually see it. But if you look at the probability table, you can see that what Oculus measures is probability in two dimensions. The probability that you will win and the probability that you will close by the stated close date. So it gives you an idea it gives you the probabilities based on the way that you answer these questions. And the score, as you can see here, for example, the winning is 64%. These are the answers that you give the yeses and no. However, when you have the high and the low, and let's say you have about 3 or 4 of those questions or 10 of those questions that are uncertain, if it goes favorably for you, it's going to be a probability of 75%. If it goes unfavorably for you, so it's going to be a probability of winning of 53%. So it gives you that. But what this does, it gives you a range of where you're at right now. It gives you an idea of understanding what your situation is and what you're looking against. Because what comes next after this is you're looking at this, and you're looking at, based on these probabilities of winning and the timing, the probabilities of the timing of closing, as a stated closing date that you have, and based on the answers that you've created, that you've had for all these questions, it gives you a SWOT analysis. And I know it's a little smaller here, it's hard to see, but what we'll do later on is I'll take you through that in more detail. But the SWOT analysis will tell you, in the 6 categories, the opportunity description. Have you really described it properly? Is that a strength? Is that a weakness? The decision process. Do you have enough information? Is it a strength, a weakness? Is it a risk? And the SWOT chart underneath it, as you can see, it's got green and it's got red, and it's got different sizes of the bars. The bars itself will indicate whether, the length of the bar, the longer ones, that means it tells you the amount of uncertainty. So as you can see, the one that's right in the middle, that's kind of tall. A lot of the bar itself, it's kind of long. It tells you there's a lot of uncertainties in the answers that you have. So that's the category, for example, right here in this area here. Let's just take a quick look here, right over here. Oops, right in this area right here. So you have uncertainty in this, and underneath here are the 6 different categories that you'll have. So maybe that might be in the competition side of it. Okay. And all right, so now you have the problems that you're seeing. Okay, these are the areas you need to focus in on. Of course, you have to start with opportunity description, and you have to make sure that your opportunity description and your proposed solutions, you have as much certainty as possible. And then you can start working on, from left to right. But then once you have that, what you end up having is a forecast rating. And this forecast rating, what it gives you is it's based in three levels. One is an A, which means commit. The next one is a B, which means it's an upside. And the third level is an F, which is omit. So going through the analysis and looking at all the, the situation of, answering the questions where all the questions are weighted, and, you've gone through the algorithms, the Oculus takes over and gives you the forecast. If it's a triple A, the A has a A, double A, and triple A. B has a B, a double B, and a triple B. F only has an F. But if you're a triple A, hey, you might as well commit to this. You're in pretty good shape. However, if you're at a B, it might tell you that, okay, well, you've got a lot of work to. You can forecast it as the upside, but there's some things that within it that there might be some risk associated with it. And here's the interesting thing about Oculus. Once you've got that, then the next thing that you can see here is the missing information and the action items. So once you've got the forecast rating and you can say it's a B, well, I've got some work to do because it's not a AAA. Okay, what is the work that I need to do? And this missing information and this action items, which prints out, actually you can cut and paste, this becomes your playbook. In other words, when you're going to the call the next time around, what you're able to do is you're saying, okay, these are the questions I need to ask, and this is what I need to do for making sure that I have this missing information, which is the uncertainty part. And the action items will tell you if you're strong in certain elements, okay, go ahead and pound that. But if you're weak in certain elements, you need to mitigate that. So the missing information, which is the uncertainty in these questions, you try to make sure you get the answers to this, which is the most important thing, so that your degree of qualification and your probabilities of winning and timing comes up higher. And the missing information and the action items is actually your sales call for the next time out. So it becomes a very, very good, easy way of looking and preparing for the next call. And looking at it from a sales manager standpoint, you can even coach them on that. And that's the good part about Oculus, is that it's a sales tool, sales rep tool, but it's also a very, very useful coaching tool for the sales managers. Another area that Oculus, you can see after the analytics, is a thing called the velocity chart. And this velocity chart, it will tell you it automatically calculates it every time that you are going to an account and you update the answers to these questions. And it'll tell you how well you're doing, how the deal is moving along, and how fast or slow. In other words, are you winning the deal? And if you're winning the deal, what's happening is in this chart here, you'll be able to see the velocity from the bottom end let's see here. From here, it should be going up this way. If it's stalled, it'll be kind of just horizontal. And if it's losing, it'll be going down. So it's a visual way of seeing how quickly or slowly that you're moving the deal forward. And it's a very, very good reality check on even though you think that the deal is moving well, maybe it's not, and or else maybe it's going better than you expected. So if the arrows are pointing downwards, then you got to say, okay, well, maybe this is a deal that we don't want to have at all. And last but not least, after the analysis, what you'll be able to see is you'll be able to see the sales strategy. And this is a section where the sales manager and the sales rep can exchange comments. So it's called asynchronous coaching, where the sales manager does not have to be face-to-face, but you can just go in and take a look at what are the probabilities, what are the SWOTs, what are the missing information, and you can kind of get advice to a sales rep without being there face-to-face, and then you can just follow up. So in a nutshell, this is what the Oculus is about, and then I'll go into that, the details of that in a little bit. But anyway, this is Oculus. So what Oculus can provide is, first of all, it gives you detailed deal insights, the critical elements that you put into a deal, what you need to input into a deal. It also conducts a vigorous deal analysis, and it's not based on a gut feel, guesswork. The pipeline, it becomes healthier. You're going to be able to manage the pipeline much better, and you're able to rank deals, what the good deals are, the bad deals are, and you can what deals you need to focus attention behind. Of course, the result of that will be increased sales forecast accuracy, and then this is a very important one because it automates sales forecasting. As you put in the details of each call and start answering the questions from a yes, no, or change your uncertainty into a no or a yes, Oculus will automatically update, and from a B, maybe it'll be a double B, or from an F, it might come up to a B, or you might move up to an A. So you don't have to do the calculation. You don't have to really go through it. Oculus, because of its algorithms, it'll take care of that automatically for you. And you can have, as I said, asynchronous coaching with your sales manager at the same time, because you're working off of the same platform. So the sales manager can coach you and send you messages, and you can get that understanding. It's a good communication tool with that also. So, well, the Oculus Value then, at the end of the day, increased forecasting accuracy, better pipeline management. But you probably are, sitting back and saying, okay, well, but isn't that what every sales forecasting software will say? So you're saying, so what? And, I agree with you, so what? But if you can turn a loss, that 30% loss, if you can minimize that to, let's say, 20% loss, turn it into a win. And you can also, at the same time, save time because it's automated, it's sales forecast, the mechanism itself. And you're turning the loss into a win primarily because you really have specific insight into what's going on. And it's not a guess, it's not a feel. And, we've got, situations where we've gone through some analysis with customers, and, forecasting accuracy has gone up to 90%. Win rates up to about, up to 50% increases. Decrease in deal slippages, less than about 40% or so. So there is a real positive element behind that. Again, it's not just a gut feel, it's more a systematic approach. And this is what Madison does, is we've been talking about systematic approach. Step 1, step 2, step 3. These are the steps we need to do. And Oculus fits right in with it. And that's the beauty of, where we're looking at. And when to focus sales, what you can see is on the win scale, you can see, the wins, the commitments, the commits, you should win those. And that's probably 20, 30, 40% of the deals. And then you're also going to lose some, and get rid of those. Don't spend time behind them. But the deals that could go either way, this is where you really should focus the time on. And that's where the sales manager should focus the time on in coaching the sales reps. Sales reps, what are the things that they need to do to win? And Oculus will tell you that. It's a systematic, structured, and it's a very, very coachable methodology. So when, just in summary here, looking at the Madison, what Madison does is we give the skills and we do the training. For example, we do coaching, sales manager coaching training. But what Oculus can do is with Oculus, we can say, all right, what are the things that you need to coach on? We can show the coaching skills per se, but Oculus will tell you this is what you need to be coached on. Same thing with the sales reps. Sales reps can, we can teach them how to prepare for a call and, move on from a call and what are the questions and how to ask these questions. But Oculus will tell them which are the questions you need to ask and in which prioritization you need to do. So at the end of the day, what Oculus and Madison can do is increase your sales forecast accuracy, win your team more deals, saves you time, especially as a sales manager and even as a sales rep. And at the end of the day, you're going to be driving sales growth. So that's Oculus, primarily Oculus in a nutshell. And now what I'd like to do is I'd like to take you through the elements of Oculus in itself, and let me switch over to the Oculus details here. Okay. All right. Here we are, and what I want to do is I want to give you a brief, we're not going to have that much time, but what I want to do is I want to give you a brief overview of Oculus and see what the software itself is like. And it's, I'd like to show you what a salesperson can do, a sales rep can do, and also what a sales manager can do. So let me just take you through what a salesperson would do in putting in a detail, would be using, as far as how this would work. So, oops. Okay. Okay, and what I want to do is, this is a sales manager's opportunity, but it's the same thing what the sales rep is going to do. We'll look at new opportunity. Okay, and when we look at the new opportunity, we'll put this opportunity name XYZ, and the company WXYZ, whatever it is. And then what are we selling? Let's say we're selling products. And then the sales cycle, okay, we're in the needs identification stage, product group. Okay, the products, the close date. Actually, it's not going to be until probably July, or let's even make it later than that. Let's say August 31st. And then, we can put in all the, the prospects and, things like that. It's a new customer. And you can put in the company address here, et cetera, et cetera. And then this is now a deal that you're going to be working on. Oops. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to put in the dollars amount. Okay, 45,000. All right. Okay, now what we see here is, remember there were the 6 categories of questions. Here's the opportunity description, the proposed solution, decision process, relationship, competition, and timing. And each one of these categories have questions similar to this. For example, opportunity description. Do you know the compelling event that is driving this project? Okay, let's just put yes. And it says MCQ must comment question. So we have to make a comment, drive sales. And then we put a save on that. So that's one of the things. All right, do you know what the problem the prospect is trying to solve? Okay, yes. Do you know who is responsible within the prospect's organization? Yes. Is this part of a project linked to any others? No. Is this project funded? Yes. Has the prospect, et cetera, you've gone through all of this? Yes. Medium. Has a statement of requirement been done? No, not yet. Et cetera, and then high, medium. Do you know the critical success factors? And then yes and yes. So let's just say that this is the situation that you came up with all these the questions for the opportunity description. And then what you would do is you would save and go next. And then you would go into the proposed solution. So I'm not going to bore you by going through every single one of these. But for example, in the proposed solution, to what level does your solution match the requirement as specified in the statement of requirements? It's not available yet. Okay, to what level does your solution match the requirements of the prospect's ideal situation? Is it low, medium, or high? Well, if you don't know what the statement of requirements are, maybe you might have a hard time. So maybe you're going to put uncertain here at this point in time. So you go through this with the proposed solution. You go through that with the decision process, the relationship, the competition, and at the same time the timing. And what you would do is you would go to this, you would go to view results, save changes, and you would get a summary page, detailed analysis. And what this does is it gives you the opportunity. It's XYZ, close date, here is the amount, you opened it on such and such, what type of a sale, what are the needs, here's the company name. And the degree of qualification at this stage, of course, is just about nothing there at this point. We didn't really go through every question. The confidence factor is low, but it'll tell you the forecast rating is not rated because it's just not a forecast worthiness at this stage. Opportunity is poorly qualified, et cetera, and it goes through all of this. Okay, so again, you can see that these are the SWOT charts. But here's the interesting thing. On the opportunity, right here, on the opportunity, when I said there was a lot of yeses and there was a lot of positive, I know the information, you can see how small this bar is. And it's pretty high. It's about 80%, 80, 85% maybe. However, on the solutions, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of uncertainties. We don't know the answers. And same thing with the competition and all the other elements. So what this is telling us is, okay, we don't have any of the information here. And that's why they can't score anything. But I just want to just give you this type of a show. And then you can see, the SWOT analysis I'll show you later. The missing information, which is the uncertainties, and then the action items, etc. But let me just take you back to opportunities and show you a deal that's already in the system, and we'll call it Bravo. And it's the same situation where we have the opportunity information. Here is sales rep Z1. Okay, the manager is myself, etc. It says Bravo, software needs identification, and we're looking at $235,550 as an amount of the forecast. So now we're looking at this, and we've got review the questions. We can go through and review the questions. These have already been filled in. So every time we go in and we see a sales, we go to a sales call, we would go ahead and make these changes and save it, and that would affect the rest of the, the analysis itself. But at this stage, let me just take you through to the view the results, because all of these are questions that are in. And here, what you're seeing is Bravo already is, as you can see here, it's a forecast rating of a BB. The forecast is deal as an upside, okay? However, review the deal analysis to determine what is required to improve your status with it and potentially move it to the A level or the commit level. You can see the degree of qualification. Do I have the information? Yeah, it's at 91%. That's pretty high. That's very, very good as far as the information. You have a lot of good information, and the confidence factor is also high. But look at the score here. The interesting thing about looking at the probability of winning this deal with the answers to all the questions is at 93%. And the low is at 89%. There's a few uncertainties because the difference between the high and the low are the number of uncertainty questions. You're not uncertain. You're not certain about these questions, so you're uncertain. So you're going to have a little bit of work to do, but it's not a heck of a lot. But look at the timing here. You're not able to answer, a lot of the questions, so there's quite a bit of difference. And also the answers you gave, were in a situation where your timing is going to be impacted. So if we look at this, you can see, and after some training, you'll be able to understand how this works. But if you see that the winning and the timing, which is the same thing as up here, the winning and the timing, there's a yellow dot in here. This is what, the scores over here are going to be indicating. So your winning probability are high. But the timing is going to tell you, just by looking at this chart, you're able to say, okay, it looks like it's going to slip. The timing, I was going to do it for, by the end of May, but maybe it's going to be a little bit later than that. And then what we can do is we can go into the details of the timing factor and see. Because as you can see here, there's a few uncertainties that we do have, but it's pretty high. And a lot of these are on the high side, but the timing here, it comes down low. So what we're able to do is now we're able to look at the summary itself, gives you an overall picture. You look at the SWOT analysis, and the SWOT analysis for the opportunity description, it's a strength. As you can see, it's the project is well defined, and the recommendation which Occulus will give you ensure that all the prospects requirements are contained in the project definition. Uncertainty range for this category is within acceptable limits. The low point of the uncertainty range places you in a relatively strong position in the category. Determine if you can realistically obtain additional information by eliminating those questions you answered uncertain. So that's your playbook. This is what you're going to be looking. And just taking it one step further, it'll tell you what are the questions that you put uncertain. Here you go, question number 7, 10, and 13. I won't go into reading it on that. But let's go back to SWOT analysis. And let's take a look at, because everything here is strength. As you can see, it's strength for the decision process. The relationship is, strength. Competition is a strength. But look at the timing part of it. Okay, there's exposure. And if you look at the score, exposure, the probability of the business closing on the stated close date is reasonably good, but there's an exposure. Okay, confirm all key project dates and confirm that the project is on schedule. These are the recommendations that you should be, this is what you should be looking. So let's go back, review the questions, and let's take a look at the timing part of it. And let's see what we got here. As you can see, there's quite a few. Do you know why the prospect is implementing this project now? No, you really should. And then, do you have the project timeframe been defined? No. Is this project on schedule? No. Do the decision makers agree with the timing for this project? Uncertain. as you can see, there's a lot of no, uncertain, negatives. There are some issues that are yes, but there's a lot of uncertainty. So what you're doing is you're looking at this overall chart, and you can see that, okay, we're a little low on timing. Everything else seems to be moving well, but here's the element. This is the timing element. And then what you do is you go into the SWOT analysis. You go down, take a look at the timing. Here are the problem areas. Look into the missing information. Okay, what's the missing information that I have? Look at all those are the three areas that we want to really look into. Do the decision makers agree with the timing for this project? Uncertain. Recommendation, confirm the schedule, vendor, selection date with the decision makers. So that gives you the absolute playbook. And the same thing here with the action items. If you're strong in something, it'll tell you, do you know the compelling event that is driving this project? Yes. Recommendation, ensure that your proposal emphasizes strength. And if there's a weakness, then you go into that area. And then take a look at the velocity chart. And as I said earlier, what you're seeing here is, okay, it's been kind of flat, but now it seems like it's trending up, and it's going to come to a close pretty soon. Timing is the only thing. And then here, the sales strategy, you can discuss, if you're a sales manager, what you need to look with that. So this is kind of a way of looking at how this works. I can go through a few other ones, but again, this is the positive one. There's some other ones that are not as positive. But by looking through the different deals that you have in place, and you have it done like that, you're able to, as a sales rep, decide on where I need to prioritize my activities and where I need to focus my work. And then at the same time, as a sales manager, you're able to see how these things are working. And then you're able to look into that, because as a sales manager, you go back in here, back to the opportunities, you can see now, as a sales manager, I have a summary of all the opportunities that I have in place. Here is the XYZ that I put in just now. Okay, it's it's nothing. You can't forecast anything at this point in time. So it'll tell you what your opportunities are. Here's a sales rep 1, sales rep 2, and you can see the degree of qualification, the winning, whether your confidence factor is high, and the timing. And then if you look at forecast, this is the last thing I'll show you. However, this is, at the end of the day, you can take a look at all of the different deals that you've got in place, and you can see, all right, the degree of qualification, the probability of winning, the time, whether it's right or wrong, the amount, the forecast, AAA, BB, B, or as 1, which is Charlie Company, an F, and then WXYZ, it's not even rated. It can't even do that. So it tells you, as a sales manager, you can look into this and you can change all these dates and you can do all the different calculations. But it tells you the close dates and things like that. One of the things here is, if you show a dashboard as a sales manager, this is the opportunities. The following opportunities have close dates that are past due. So you're really in a situation where you're in total control of 40 or 50 deals at a time, and you don't really have to worry about the deals that are on AAA, for example, like this one. You can just very easily, just discuss it with the sales rep. But then after that, you want to start focusing in on the ones that are in the middle, especially the ones that are in the Bs, and you want to bring them up higher. Okay, what are the things we need to do? You start looking into that. And you have the same platform to discuss, what the problems are or what the opportunities are, for each deal. So at the end of the day, what Occulus can do for the sales rep is it gives you better control over, what your priorities are, where your actions should be. It focuses your activities. It gives you even the questions that you really need to ask, and it'll enable you to have a better control over all your deals that you're doing. And as a sales manager, it's going to save you a heck of a lot of time, because you're not going to go after this deal right here. That's an F. And you're not even going to bother with that, because you've got other fish to fry here, and you want to talk with sales rep 1, sales rep 2, depending on those, and you're talking just on the focused areas of, whether it's going to be, the competition, or that's the weakness, or the proposed solution that's the weakness, or is it the decision process that's the weakness? So, in a nutshell, that's what Oculus is, and I'd like to end this presentation with that.